What's up YouTube? What's going on? Chana D, your Techno Dad here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out the Sony X950G 4K HDR TV, and we're going to get into it right after the jump. Now, first things first, ladies and gentlemen, I do need to give a big shout out to Robert from Value Electronics. I picked up this TV from him, and if you're looking for any Sony, LG, or Samsung TV, definitely check out Value Electronics. Link is down in the description. So unboxing this TV is pretty much the same as any other TV. Remove the clips at the bottom and lift the box from the top. Now, I usually put a towel on the dining table so that there can be some sort of cushion between the TV and the table or whatever surface you're going to put it on. We need to put on the feet, but before we get to the feet, let's check out the I/O that's facing the bottom of the TV. From right to left, we have a USB port, 3 HDMI inputs, the one in the middle designated as the ARC port, an RS-232 jack, optical audio output, network port, and an old school antenna connection. Moving along to the side I/O from top to bottom, we have an IR input, video input, headphone output, 2 USB ports, and a final HDMI input. Just below that, there is a multifunction button that allows you to change the channel, turn the power off and on, and volume up and down, and all those things. On the other side of the TV, we have an attached power cable. And to put the feet on, we use 2 of the supplied screws for each foot. Just line it up, slide it into place, and screw away. I think one of the coolest changes is the remote control. On the left is the new remote from the X950G, and on the right, we have the remote from the X900F. As you can see, the new remote is a bit longer and slimmer. It's great to hold in the hand and doesn't make too much noise when pressing buttons. So far, I think the X950G is a good upgrade from the X900F from last year. I know the picture quality is better, and for the price, falls in right where it should. I'll jump you into some of my settings. Now, I'm not a professional calibrator. I never claimed to be, but I know you guys always ask, so here's the rundown. And basically, all I do is just balance contrast and brightness to that specific room for that specific input. SDR, HDR, you just kind of have to do it for all those things depending on what kind of content is coming into the TV. I'll go into picture settings for a specific input and go to custom, go to color and choose warm, but if you like cool, go ahead and choose cool. Go back to brightness and balance the brightness and contrast to get the look you like. I have my brightness down to 35 and contrast is at 80. Auto local dimming is set to high. Under clarity, I didn't change much here. For motion, I turned everything off. Everything in video options is set to auto. I like these settings, they seem to work well in my bedroom. Here's what my custom settings look like against Vivid and Standard. I put in the Spears and Munsell demo disc and it looks great. I do notice a hint of DSE or dirty screen effect in the top corners when the goats are playing, but it's not too bad or overly noticeable. As for blooming, I put on the star field and the Sony did a wonderful job with no visible signs of blooming. Motion handling looked great on the X950G with all motion interpolation turned off. Now, I know one of the questions I got from a viewer was compare the blooming on the X950G to the Samsung Q70R. So here are the Starfield clips side by side from the X950G and the X70R. You may not be able to tell too much in this video, but I was able to see a lot of blooming on the Q70R in the top left and bottom right. There were times I got a big bloom in the center of the Samsung while playing this Starfield test. When comparing the Sony X950G and the Samsung Q70R picture quality wise, I think the Sony edges out the Samsung just a little bit. Now, there is more blooming on the Samsung than the Sony, which does help. I mean, there could be a little bit of blooming on the Sony depending on what you're checking out, but it's not as noticeable as the Samsung. And in this price range, you do have to kind of expect a little bit of blooming here and there, as it's not like a super premium TV. It does fall into that mid-range category. And one of the things I thought the Samsung had over the Sony was definitely the sound. I think the sound on the Samsung is way better. Like, the bass sounds good. Like, my kid's always like listening to music, and I roll into his room and I'm like, what are you listening on? And he's like, the TV. I was like, oh, wow, that sounds actually really good. So the Samsung definitely wins for the sound. And of course, you guys know I'm not a fan of Android TV on Sony's. Android TV on NVIDIA Shield, totally different story. So I would give the operating system and ease of use and graphic UI to the Samsung. Now, the one cool part about the Sony, however, I did plug in an Apple TV 4K and you started using that instead of the Sony operating system, and the Sony remote actually works with the Apple TV 4K. Like, I didn't have to program it or anything, and the buttons just work, so that's pretty cool. What you need to do is select the input and press the display button on the remote, and it pulls up a menu at the bottom of the screen. This is where you can turn on the Apple TV. You can go to the home screen. You can go into options. You got a lot of different menu items here, and you can go watch whatever content it is you want to watch using the Sony remote. Now, I think that is super handy. And overall, I feel between the two TVs, if you're looking in the mid-price tier, the Sony X950G and the Samsung Q70R, I would definitely go with the Sony, even though I don't like the OS, but you know, if you're having Apple TV 4K, then you can just use that and you're good to go. I was able to get a great picture out of the Sony, and even in nighttime viewing, I wasn't too disappointed with the black bars not melting away into the background like it does on my OLED. But hey, it's still an LCD LED TV, so you still have to think about those things. One thing I did notice is colors kind of do shift a little bit when you're doing off-axis viewing, so I would highly recommend this for a bedroom or any kind of living room where you're pretty much sitting straight on with the TV. I don't think you'll have too many problems. But if you do have a huge, great room like I do and you want awesome viewing angles, you might want to think about going OLED. I know those prices have gone down. Now, definitely, if you are looking for a Sony, Samsung, or LG TV, contact Robert at Value Electronics. The link is down in the description. They got the best pricing around. Now, if you guys have any questions for me about this or anything else, let me know down in the comments below, or hit me up on whatever social or email you like to use. And that's pretty much it for this video. So if you liked it, go ahead, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel using the button in the middle of your screen. Once again, my name is Chana D. I'm your Techno Dad. I'll see you next time.